VP and CISO, WNS Co-Chair India Fair Institute, Mr. Sumit Kokhani, to kindly join us onto the stage. Warm welcome to you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we call this session to order, and may I now request the moderator of the session, Mr. Rahul Tyagi, to kindly take over. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. A very good morning, everyone, and I hope you had a good breakfast. So we have only 15 minutes, so I'll make sure that this 15 minutes will be, my goal will be simple. I don't want you to only listen, but whatever the knowledge or whatever our expertise we will be sharing together, I'm sure that after this small fireside chat, you'll be able to use those resources, go back to your company, and then implement those things to have a better risk visibility. So usually we'll say cyber risk is a business risk, but when it comes to reporting that risk, it's mostly in red, green, yellow, or something like that. But when we truly want to convert cyber risk into business risk, usually that language has to be in dollars or rupees so that we can understand what risk our organization is sitting on. So joining me are two leaders who I think have moved from guessing the risk to calculating the risk. So we have Mr. Kapil Madan from Max Healthcare. And in health, I'm sure you know that more than a data theft, it's a patient's life and critical infrastructure which they have to manage. And then we have Sumit, who is managing hundreds of global clients, where downtime is definitely something which is having a very big contractual obligations and penalties which he has to take care of, along with the trust of their customer. So let's dive directly into it. And my first question is for you, Kapil. And I always follow these notes just to let you know, because I don't want that I will ask something wrong. I will rather read and ask the right question rather than asking a wrong question. So my first question to you, Kapil, is that I think whenever we talk about healthcare, so usually when we ask board about the budgets, about you want to implement something as a security controlling organization, usually that the front ask the board members or the CEO, they look at this thing as an IT investment. They are not able to relate with the contractual you can say impact or materiality impact or downtime impact on the patient's life when it comes to investing something into cybersecurity. So how you are managing this visibility when you report this to the board and you're asking for a certain budget? Because I'm sure that many of us sitting here always have a challenge when getting the right budget, but with the right context. So if you can enlighten us on that.
Yeah, first of all, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Yeah. So you are right. So, if I tell my board, we have a high risk of ransomware. Okay? What they say, so what? Go and mitigate. It's your duty. So, with the help of FAIR, we have changed the narrative. How we changed, instead of using a technical language like vulnerabilities, malware, virus, we are using business language like business disruption hours, it's clinical business disruption hours, or the business risk. So let's take example. We have created a scenario on ransomware because most of the organizations face ransomware in past, and few mitigated and few breached. So it's a good example to take the ransomware example. So we created the scenario of ransomware. Ransomware outage for 48 hours. Okay. With the help of FAIR, we calculated the, the risk. It's a loss magnitude risk with three factors. The number one, the category one comes, the delayed surgeries. Okay. The legal liability of and the revenue loss of delayed surgeries, and the cancelled appointments is also a revenue loss. And third is the indirect, that is the damage, reputation, quantification. Okay? With the help of this, we created, now the high risk become a business disruption, and the value that comes is around 40 to 50 CR of the outage, and that can be calculated with the help of FAIR. And now suddenly the high risk become a business risk. At the same time, if you'll say, and if you showcase that, we can mitigate that risk with the help of 50 CR, means the cost of 1 CR or the 50 lakh. Sign-off can be, it can be approved easily. So who are here from the critical sector, what I'll suggest here, what I recommend you, you please use CIS RAM. CIS benchmarking everyone is using. So CIS RAM is the risk assessment method. With the help of that, what you can achieve, you can calculate that, and after that you can achieve whatever you have defined. And prepare your strategy based on these two factors. And this is perfectly aligned with FAIR method. And it's free to use.
So this is very helpful. Anyone from the critical sectors, like Kapil mentioned, the CAS RAM, so risk assessment model with FAIR. This you can read, Google about it, tell your team to read about it, so that whatever the frameworks you have already implemented, it can complement you. And whatever we will be sharing, it's absolutely free of cost. These are simple, normal, open source frameworks which you can use to have the better outcome of whatever the implementation you have done in your organization. Now, Kapil, to you, sorry, Sumit, to you. I think you are managing engine of, I think, global businesses as in WNS, and your pain point is unique, according to me at least, whatever I researched about your organization, is client trust and contractual liabilities. So with, I think, the new SEC, Security Exchange Commission guidelines, and recently DPDP in India, there is a very thin line between, because materiality is everywhere. And those people who don't understand materiality term is when a company is get breached or something, or a reputation damage happen, there is a financial cost to the company. So if today your company goes down, maybe with the downtime, what will be the financial impact with respect to your loss of customers or something like that? That calculation known as materiality. So when materiality is everywhere, a breach might be small technically, but materiality, contractuality is already there. So how you are using FAIR or any other methodology to differentiate between a security incident and a material loss, so that you don't over-report or under-report to your customers and regulators especially? Because whenever there is a breach, regulators will be sitting on your head and asking you what you did wrong, what you did right, why you did this, why did not you took this action. So how you defend that and track that with any of the method which you can guide them?
So I think great question, Rahul. So see, in the BPO world, our panic button gets triggered very early, which means that we used to treat every malware alert as a crisis. Right? Now, with the help from FAIR, we use a concept called FAIR CAM, which is Control Analytics Module, and FAIR MAM, which is Materiality Assessment Module. In FAIR CAM, every control is getting measured or assessed by its capability, coverage, and reliability, which is effectiveness of that particular control. But at the same time, with the FAIR MAM, which is Materiality Assessment Model, it precisely have two buckets of defining the losses, primary loss and the secondary loss. Primary loss means the immediate productivity loss, right? For example, let's say in our world, again, 500 agents sitting idle for 2 hours. That's an immediate productivity loss. With the secondary loss, it's coming from basically fines and judgments from the regulators like SEC, or the penalties from the client contractual obligations, basically. So with the help of FAIR, and now we can tell to a client saying that, yes, we had an incident. However, the financial materiality is below our reporting threshold, right? Because the implemented controls have already reduced or limited the blast radius. It also helps us not reducing, I would say, it also helps us basically for reputation damage. At the same time, we keep ourselves compliant with the SEC or DPDP moving forward, right? And it's a good way to articulate and understand it better. I want to give one guidance to the audience here that, and I strongly recommend each and every security practitioner or leader that please check the website called howmaterialisThathack.org. I'm repeating, howmaterialisThathack.com. It is an open resource based on the FAIR-MAM model, and it gives you the real-world breach scenarios with the financial calculation. And it's really a great start as a baseline to build your own model for your organization.
So if you, when you say financial calculation, what that means? So when we go there, what are the things which will make sense to us while reading it, and what will be my learning and or the security leaders learning out of it?
So by means, see, all historical breaches have been calculated with the fair materiality assessment model, which means that the minimum loss, the maximum loss, and the average loss that could foresee. So it actually resembles the actual breach and the monetary loss that has happened to those organizations. It gives you the bifurcation of your primary loss factors as well as secondary loss factors, that how much after a breach, what sort of amount has been spent by those organizations for different kind of breaches that has happened, and what are the third-party liabilities that they've come across and things like that.
So in a I think in a nutshell, if I have to, you are saying that when we go there, there are organizations who are hacked in the past.
Yes.
And you will be able to see that this organization, when got hacked, till now, how much money they have spent on the impact after that hack. Maybe it's $200 million, 300, so that you can calculate tangibly that after a hack, these organizations were able to get penalized, or maybe they have invested so much on the incident. So usually after the incident, you never come to know how much loss financially the organization is having, because there are so much parameters. You cannot calculate reputation damage from outside. So I think this website will help you to see all these bifurcations.
So it's not only that, in addition to their filings to the regulatory authorities on what exactly the Form 8K and 10K filings, right? What exactly went wrong with that organization? How did they recover? What are the costs involved? All of everything is available on that website, and it's an open resource. I'm repeating that. Please look for the website called howmaterialisThathack.org, and you will have all the transparency and the financial losses calculated by means of fair materiality assessment model.
Okay. So I think clearly you guys have moved from risk operations to risk economists. So now, what do you think, what do you recommend to everyone? Now, again, DSCI, and I'm sure many of you have heard a lot about FAIR. So FAIR and DSCI are non-profitable organization, as you know, and FAIR is basically a body which is 18,000 members globally. They are not cyber security professionals, but they are cyber risk professionals. It's the largest community on the planet when it comes to cyber risk management practitioners, where they contribute to models like Kapil said and Sumit said about FAIR materiality analytical model and control analytical model, where you can use these models to predict that tomorrow, if in your organization there is a breach, based on the expenses, penalties in your region and other thing, how much cost you will be able to, you will be getting impacted. Usually these models are primarily used by insurance industries, but now security practitioners are also using, because whenever hack will happen, and usually whenever we go for cyber insurance, there's an assumption that maybe this percentage of IT budget we should spend on insurance, but there is not a realistic objective calculation which goes behind deciding that insurance budget. But with these models, you will be able to calculate that a company which is in this industry, with respect to this much customers, with respect to this much scale, if that get breached, how much loss I am expecting in the future. And based on the lower bound and the upper bound of that amount, you decide your insurance. And usually what we have seen in our experience, most of the companies have reduced at least 35 to 40% of their overall cyber insurance, because sometimes they are having an over subscribed cyber insurance which is not required based on the risk where they are sitting on. So this will not only help you to calculate that, and there are companies like Zurich, Mosaic Insurance. In India, brokers like Marsh, Howden, they use FAIR methodology, and if you're adopting that, they will help you to reduce your premiums also. Now, my last question to you is, just to respect the 1.5 minutes we have now, what do you think that the people who want to understand FAIR, what do you think, like these people have done, I think, DSCI FAIR certification. So what do you think, what are your experience when it comes to FAIR certification, and your team has done that also. So why you think that everyone should go for that certification?
Yeah, it's the language of future. If you and your team is not able to define the why behind the security purchase in dollars and rupees, they will fail to grow. Mark my words, they will fail to grow. So with the help of DSCI, that provides structure to define the ability, to define how you can present to the board, how you can justify your procurements.
Sumit, sorry.
Yeah, so I agree with Kapil. It's also about defensibility, right? Basically, but think from a situation that if a regulator comes and asks you why did you accept this risk, right? Showing the heat maps is not going to help, but showing the quantified fair-based analytics basically helps you prove that you have done sufficient due diligence, right? And this is exactly the DSCI fair certification educate you about how to build a legal defense against it. And I strongly encourage the practitioners to go through the certification program to add more value around it.
So just to conclude, everyone, imagine tomorrow there are 10 things in your bucket list as a security practitioner which you need to correct. Now you correct one thing and then tomorrow there is a hack and regulator come to you and say why you chose point number 5 instead of point number 1. So your answer will not be that this was critical, that's why I did that. Your answer should be out of those 10, what I realized if I fix the first one, out of 100 crore risk, it will only reduce 2 crore rupees. But in terms of fifth, which I corrected, or third, which I corrected, it was reducing almost 65 crore rupees of business risk. Now that decision makes sense to the regulators rather than criticality and other thing. I think, and that's the right way of looking at the risk as per our limited understanding which we shared. Models which already shared, please go through that. And with DSCI, we have this certification. For the next 2 days, you'll get 50% discount on the certification. Our booth is on the ground floor. Please come, and those who will register today, you don't need to pay today. You can take 3 months to register, but you enroll and avail those benefits out of the certification.
Yeah, I want to add on one part. So I am using FAIR framework from last 4 years. So my team is here, Harsh and Bhagwender. If anybody have any question, any queries, they can discuss and can come to me also.
Okay. Thank you, Kapil. Thank you, Mr. Sumit. Thank you for your time. And I'm sure you had a good time. In case you need anything, we are around. So thank you so much, guys, and have a good day.
Thank you so much, distinguished speakers. Thank you so much for giving such insightful input. There's been a very significant amount of valuable inputs that we have gathered and it shall always stay with us. Thank you once again.